Hello, welcome to the May 2022 meeting of the Transportation, Public Safety, etc. Committee. So I'm David Crane. I will be chair of the committee, and I'm going to now ask Michelle, who is doing the technical side of things and is the vice chair. I'm asking Michelle to explain anything necessary about how we run the meeting.
Thanks, David. Just a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. Please sign into the chat with your name and affiliation. The chat will go to me. Please only use the chat for signing in and for any technical issues that you may have during the meeting. If you're here to speak on an agenda item, please also note that when you sign into the chat. And when the item is up for discussion from the public, the chair will ask you to raise your Zoom hand, and then the chair will recognize speakers in the order that he sees them with a 2-minute time limit, with up to a 2-minute time limit. If you're here representing a group, please select no more than 2 speakers to speak on your point of view, but the chair will note how many of the people attending support that item, or support or oppose that agenda item. And please keep yourself muted unless the chair has recognized you to speak, and we will mute you if you come off mute. Thank you.
Okay, Justin, do you want more people to present with you that we should make co-host?
James Conroy, who is here, is also from Amazon and will be speaking.
Okay, Michelle, I can't seem to be making co-host.
Okay, thanks. David, you're muted.
I'll get this thing figured out eventually. There's that mask that I keep losing. When they get that ironed out, I now completely forget my train of thought. Approval of the previous month's minutes. If there are no changes that people on the committee felt were needed, we'll consider them approved. I think that's enough time. There were no changes, so the minutes are approved. And now we should have the roll call vote to see who's present from the committee.
Okay, David Crane.
Here.
Michelle Cooper-Smith.
Present.
Wendy Lee, present. Lee Berman.
Present.
Tariq Darrow. Tariq. Kenya Hernandez.
Present.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. So it sounds like then we're doing the Amazon item first. So let me just thank Amazon for being here. I'll give a little bit of the backstory that they have cleaned up what was happening. Okay, there was a problematic situation on the Bowery, which at the location which is on the agenda, and Susan was able to contact Amazon, and they've actually cleared up that situation. I'm pretty sure. I mean, public, you'll let me know in a little while if there's still lingering problems. And we asked them if they would come to talk about their operations, and I thought that would be useful for the committee to hear, and that is what I'm going to turn it over to them now for. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you having us today. We'll just do a quick introduction. So I'm Justin Ginsburg. I lead our sustainability team here in New York City for Global Specialty Fulfillment. That's our grocery operation. And James, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you for having me on team. Justin, thanks for passing it over. So my name is James Conroy. I'm here tonight on behalf of our community operations team with Amazon. So the mission of my team that I lead here in New York is to make Amazon a better neighbor in our communities that we work and live within. So it's my team's job to bring the voice of the community members like yourselves to our operations team to ensure that we're being good neighbors. And although we assist in highest standards within our delivery teams, we understand that we can impact the community, and we want to hear from you on how we can improve for you, our customers out here.
All right, so we'll start it off with myself talking a little bit about our grocery operation, where we use bikes in CB3, and then I'll hand it over to James, and he'll talk about the Walker program, which is through Amazon Logistics doing parcel delivery. And then we'll leave time at the end for you guys to ask questions about how we operate. So to kick it off, I lead our sustainability team here in New York, Amazon made a climate pledge to be a zero carbon company by 2040. So as part of that goal, we have been migrating a lot of our urban deliveries to bikes, especially in New York City. So in New York City, we do in Manhattan all our grocery deliveries via bike, and we're scaling that program to the other 4 boroughs. And it's something that we're really proud of. We've taken about 300 cars off the street in Manhattan by using this bike program. We have 2 operations or 2 different programs that deliver via bikes in CB3. One is out of the Whole Foods that I'm sure you have seen or patronized on Houston Street. The community board's actually been a great partner in getting us a bike corral to minimize the impact of our operations on the sidewalk. So we dispatch bikes directly from that Whole Foods and we deliver fresh food around the community. We have a second program called Amazon Fresh, and that program uses box trucks that are loaded in New Jersey that then drive into the city and connect with bikes to then make deliveries in the neighborhood using these electric bicycles. That was the program that created some community issues a couple of weeks ago. We were operating in a lot that DCAS owned behind the Whole Foods on Bowery and Houston. And we're operating also on the street. And I'll admit we created a little bit of a mess, but Susan reached out. We remediated that quite quickly. And now we're no longer operating in that way and in the neighborhood. We've moved our operation to a surface parking lot further downtown where we're off street and not adjoining residences to really reduce the impact of that kind of operation. As James mentioned, we really try to train our contractors, our employees to be good members of the community and insist on really high standards of caring for the neighborhoods we operate in. Sometimes we fall short. Susan has my contact information. She has James' contact information. Whenever you guys do have issues, you could always reach out to us and we will work to address them as quickly as possible. So that's an overview of our grocery program on bikes. I'll turn it over to James. He could talk about the walker program on foot.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks for that, Justin. So as Justin mentioned, we also have another form of delivery that I'm sure you all see throughout CB3 and the rest of Manhattan as well, what we call our walker operation. So our walker model is created to service high density areas like CB3 and then also improve our sustainability within the neighborhood. So you may see our box trucks coming up to loading areas, some of our walker delivery associates unloading the packages outside, putting them onto push carts, and then walking around our neighborhoods with them. The really positive piece of this, and Justin and I have worked on this for a few years now, is for every box truck that you see out in New York and in CB3, that's 5 less Amazon delivery vehicles that you may see in our other boroughs or outside of Manhattan. So it's a big push that we're trying to do as well. But we also understand that we have opportunities here. So I was just out today, actually, over in CB3, in the Lower East Side in the East Village, just getting eyes on our operation there, working with our delivery service partners to ensure that we are following the standard work that we put out for them. I admit, like Justin, that we do have opportunities there, but my team and Justin as well are here to streamline that for you all in the community to kind of give that feedback back to our delivery partners and ensure that we are being better neighbors out there. So a big piece of what I'm trying to do is, as we work with those partners, and within CB3 alone, on any given day, there's about 10 to 15 box trucks that you'll see kind of rotating throughout the city there with delivery associates that come up and then split up the packages and are able to deliver them out there. The biggest piece that I am trying to do is make sure, one, that we are parking and loading in proper loading zones that are designated obviously throughout the city. And then the other piece too is making sure that as we are doing our unloading and moving the packages from the delivery vehicle onto the push carts, that we're doing that within the designated loading zone. Safety is obviously paramount for us with our delivery associates as well as our community members. So we do want to make sure that we are doing it within that service area and we're not then getting onto the sidewalks, which I know has been an issue that I was able to address not only today, but also throughout our auditing there. So that's what good looks like on our end. Obviously, we strive to be insist on the highest standards here with ourselves and our team, but we know there are times that there are opportunities there. So that's what Justin and I are here to do, to hopefully proactively remove some of those barriers, but also hear from you all on what you all see on the day-to-day and how we can be better neighbors and better partners in the community and take that information back and make a better product for us all out there.
So with that, I think we'll leave it open to questions.
Okay, thanks. So committee members, do you have clarifying questions, comments? We'll open it up from committee members, but let's start there. committee members? Raise hands. Any raise hands? Lee and then Susan. Lee?
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Justin and James. My question is more so about your deliveries as opposed to the loading areas. So one, how can the community contact you guys when they have issues? For example, when Amazon Logistics contributes to package theft problems. So for example, when your logistics may drop 40, 50, 60, 100 packages literally on the sidewalk in front of a building and abandon them, claim they were delivered, leave boxes on stoops unattended, leave 30, 40, 50 packages in a building lobby and just abandon them, which all contribute to package theft, especially in this community, increases in crime. And this community is also a NORC, a naturally occurring retirement community. So if people order pharmacy items from you guys or whatever it is that they order, they are at a disadvantage and inconvenience. So what are you guys doing to stymie that? Again, this is something that certainly on the east side of Grand Street, Delancey Street, we see this almost every day. So what are you guys doing about that? And how are people, as I said, supposed to be able to contact you guys or somebody local, as opposed to, dealing with, we'll replace your package, but this situation continues day after day, month after month, and year after year. Thank you.
Yeah, certainly, Lee, I can take that, and I appreciate the question there, because it is something similar to what I was just talking about, the loading and unloading, because that was one of the main things that Susan's office brought to us here. That is still an issue that comes up that we need to partner and give feedback for. So what I can say is proactively what we're doing here, within Manhattan alone, we have a team of 10 leaders. All they do is go around and audit our processes, including CB3 here, to make sure that we're connecting with our delivery service partners, that if they are seeing unsafe practices, they're able to give real-time feedback. So again, I went there today to make sure, one, the folks that work for me on my team are doing what they say they're doing every day, to make sure that we're not out of touch with reality. We're not just relying on data that we get pushed to us, but I mean, it takes a little bit more to go out there and actually get eyes on it. So that's one piece that we do. And Manhattan is actually one of the only areas where we have a team that big that is just focused on that specifically, because we do understand that we don't want these folks package dumping. We don't want to contribute to crime. We want to make sure that we are getting the community members exactly what it is that they ordered, because without you all, there is no Amazon. So that's what we do proactively throughout it. What can we do if you all have escalations that you need to kind of put on my radar here that I can work with the team? There's obviously a number that I can put in the group that if you do call into it, it will make its way back to my team. But the whole reason we're here today is Susan's office was able to reach out. We think that there's a healthy line of two-way communication there, and we do genuinely want to do, like, we're from the neighborhoods as well. A lot of the folks that work there are from the neighborhoods as well. So we want to make sure that if there are claims, that you're either able to do it centrally if you want to call a number, or if you want to do it through the CB3 office, it will obviously make its way to me and my team. And that's something that we take incredibly seriously, as that's our whole role here, is to make sure not only we better neighbors, but that we put the customers first. We always start the customers, work our way backwards to eliminate problems, in this sense, theft and things of that nature. So those would be what we're doing proactively to try to get out in front of it, and how we can further escalate it as it comes up.
Okay, so let me just say that we're not routing things like lost package complaints through the board office. That would be purely, there's an operational problem, congestion on the street, sidewalk, etc. Something that really is safety. But if there was a direct way to be reached, if you could share that, perhaps we could just share that in the chat if you're willing to do that. And Susan.
Oh, I'm sorry. First of all, I wanted to say the problem I called you about was a huge mess, and I've never seen anything cleared up so quickly. I had the residents emailing me saying, yay. So I want to say thank you for that. I think the issue particularly is the 4 a.m. operations is, what made it bad under people's windows. What I want to ask, so that was a thank you. What I want to ask you about is that I think I've seen a change where I used to see Amazon trucks parking at the curb and then using the sidewalk for staging. And I seem to not be seeing that anymore. Is that a change, or is it something I'm just not noticing? Have you been making changes recently?
I think that probably refers to my program, the grocery program.
Hmm.
So when we got the feedback from the community board about the issues on the Bowery, we decided to lease an off-street parking lot, a rather sizable one. And that has allowed all transfers of packages from trucks to bikes to happen in this one
Yeah.
parking lot downtown. So before we were at the Bowery, we would rotate among different commercial loading zones, and that's probably what you're seeing. But that is no more for the grocery bike delivery program.
Okay, and I think there's tremendous amount of non-grocery package delivery. I contribute greatly, as many of us do. And, I'm no longer seeing that. I used to see it like in bus stops and that kind of thing, and I'm no longer seeing that as a problem. So I appreciate changes. I've been reading about these last mile warehouses. I assume that is something that's not going to be impacting CB3, but I just want to encourage you for any types of changes or even new policies. If you would reach out and let us know, because I think people do find, it's a big part of our lives, and I think people do find it interesting and concerning, that we want to know what's happening on the streets and sidewalks.
Yes, absolutely. Justin and I can certainly keep you in contact about that. Currently, the warehouses that service CB3 are outside of Manhattan, and they come in on those box trucks that you see. So hopefully we're doing a better job of making sure we're staying within the designated loading areas. But if there's any changes to that, Justin and I can certainly keep you in the loop.
Okay, thank you.
And Michelle.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for taking as many trucks as possible off the street. It really does help. Something that we deal with extensively here is congestion and loading in the middle of our streets. So it's please more any cargo bikes, are really appreciated for us as we deal with just such terrible congestion in our district, which is not really designed for large trucks and cars. So thank you. And I work out every morning across the street from the Bowery lot, and I don't think that there's any problem on the sidewalk anymore. So yeah.
Thanks. Are there community members are the people from the public who do want to make a comment or question? If not, I'm going to move to the next agenda item. Don't see any hands.
Guess
If you're
everybody's happy.
struggling, you may unmute. Like, for instance, it's hard to figure out how to raise your hand on a cell phone. Okay, we are going to move to the next item then, which is, thank you. Oh, wait, Susan, did you want to say something?
No, I just wanted to say thank you. And I didn't know if it was clear that that we're moving on.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Amazon.
Thank you. Bye.
And we are moving on. So now there's an item here about a bus layover. Hold on one second. Okay, I just had to deal with that. So anyway, Jennifer from DOT, I think you would introduce us.
Yes, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay, hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Leung from DOT Manhattan Commissioner's Office. I am joined by MTA Transit, who will introduce themselves in a bit, and they will present the proposal. But before I turn it over to them, I just want to say a couple of words. New York City DOT pretty much received a request from the MTA for the bus layover on East First and First Ave. We are pretty much aware of this location and also its history and parking, the taxi relief stand, as well as some of the construction in the area. We certainly like to hear more from everyone here as we continue to work with the MTA on their requests. Aside from that, I guess Transit, you can take over.
So yeah, good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's well. So yeah, we're here tonight to provide some information and present to you guys an issue that we're having. We have this issue throughout the city of New York. We have lots of buses that require at some point in their route for them to lay over. And there's just not enough layover space in the city of New York. I mean, each individual community has their own issues, their parking issues, their loading issues, and we are constantly trying to balance both the needs of the community and our mandate to provide transportation to the city of New York. And service continues to grow, demand continues to grow, and that just means more buses. So we're proposing, we asked DOT, I'm going to turn it over to Laura, who from Transit in our Operations Planning Department, who will go through the presentation. Basically, it's a proposal for some slightly additional layover space in the area of East First Street and Houston Street. And then once the presentation's over, we'll be more than happy to take questions. And we thank DOT, our partners, for considering this. Laura?
Here we go. I hopefully am managing to share my screen and have you hear me at the same time if all the stars have aligned.
Good, the stars are aligned.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, Marcus and Jennifer, for that introduction. I'm going to share a little more information on our layover request here. So let's go. All right, just to get us situated here, we're looking at East First Street between Houston Street and First Avenue. There's currently a dining shed and alternate side parking on the north curb and metered parking and a taxi stand on the south curb. This doesn't want me to tap through. Here we go. Okay. New York City Transit has requested the south curb of East First Street be designated as a layover and staging space for the M15 SBS route for the Sim 1 and Sim 34 routes during weekday rush hours only. Designating the south curb as the layover would mean that the taxi stand would shift to the north curb on that block, and go into that a little more in a moment, but I want to just tell you a little bit about layovers. Layovers are scheduled time in between trips that help buses stay on schedule, and they provide time for operators to use the restroom when necessary. Layover time is built in to every bus trip, and layovers are often, but not always, located adjacent to a bus's last or first stop. On weekday mornings from 7 to 10, the layover will serve approximately 25 M15 SBS trips that actually terminate on Houston Street and go back in service northbound with the first stop on First Avenue at First Street. And then in the afternoons from 4 to 7, the Sim 1 and Sim 34 buses would use this area to stage before going into service for their afternoon rush hour trips that begin on Broadway and Houston Street. These buses actually travel from their depots in Staten Island and need to factor in traffic delays and other conditions that might arise in order to arrive to their first stop on time. So staging at a layover before those trips is critical to keeping to their posted schedule. You might ask what these buses are doing now. The M15 SBS actually has a designated layover on the south curb of Houston between Forsyth and Eldridge Streets, and it was displaced from that by the construction at the former Landmark Sunshine Theater. And even before that, it had been displaced by years-long utility projects on Houston Street. Currently, some M15 SBS buses actually do manage to lay over here on First Street when they're able to access it. The parking regulations on the south curb begin around 9 a.m. So earlier in the morning from 7 to about 8:30, when the curb is mostly clear, they're able to use this area. But as cars start parking in anticipation of those regulations going into effect at 9 a.m., it gets trickier. So otherwise, they end up waiting either in the last stop on Houston Street or in the first stop on First Avenue. Obviously ends up blocking other M15 buses and M21 buses and their customers from accessing the curb at those stops. The Sim routes are actually dealing with an issue where they don't have enough layover space where they have designated space on West Houston by Thompson Street. Because they don't have enough space, those buses also end up parking where they can access curb space, or they end up double parking or blocking bus stops, all of which leads to complaints from the community and doesn't help us serve our customers. The inability to depend on a dedicated and consistently available layover space is really, has real operational impacts on bus service and reliability, and it impacts the community. So that's why we're requesting to formalize this layover space here on First Street that works really well for, those different routes, both in the morning and the afternoon. And just to provide some details on the taxi stand that's currently on the south curb, it has, about 178 feet, so space for roughly 8 vehicles on the south curb. And by shifting it to the north curb, the driveway would effectively break it up into 2 spaces. So you end up actually with space for up to 9 vehicles once you add in those 2 spaces on either side, 156 feet west of the curb cut and 49 feet roughly east of the curb cut and east of the fire hydrant that's there. So with that, maybe I'll turn it over to DOT in case there's anything they'd like to add about the taxi stand. And I think I'm sure you'll have some questions.
DOT? Did you want to?
Joseph, do you have anything else you want to say?
Hi, Joseph with the taxi FHB unit within NYC DOT. No, we don't. We don't have anything in particular to add. Just want to know that we want you to know that we're aware of the history of this stand, and we did work with you, the community, and also you, your elected representatives, to instate it. And so we want to preserve it, and so that's why we've worked with the MTA to try and find additional space in lieu of the south curb.
I couldn't understand that last sentence. You've worked with the MTA.
Why we worked to find space in lieu of the south curb to preserve the taxi relief stands.
We'll see. So if Susan or the committee members have questions, clarifying questions, comments? Don't see raised hands. Susan.
Okay. Just putting my video back on. I was eating before. First, can I ask you what outreach you've done to the businesses that are impacted?
Hi,
Sorry, go ahead, Marcus.
That's okay. Sorry, I couldn't mute. So I've been in contact with Carlina Rivera's office, and she connected me with the stakeholders. So we're gonna plan on meeting them. This is the proposal. This wouldn't be something that would happen tomorrow or next week. This is something that we're bringing to the community, and we're trying to make sure that DOT is okay with the proposal. So I'm going to be meeting with these business owners sometime next week on site to discuss the particulars, the ins and outs, and any concerns that they have.
So we really can't support it until after that. I mean, it seems like the timing's kind of backwards.
Okay, well, that's understood. Well, just so you understand, I understand that we absolutely would love your support. But again, this is something that we need to do, and we want to make sure that everybody's aware. So we will be doing that next week.
Yeah, because we've worked on this before, and the first time was during Houston reconstruction, and we helped get the taxis on Avenue A at that time. And at that time, just because they were all licensed businesses, we had contact with them all, and was able to speak with them before the meeting. And actually, because of that, we're able to change the hours that have it work out for everyone. And I don't remember if this is the second location or third. It seems to me it was located a little bit further east before, but I don't know for sure. One of my concerns is that you have the large bar with the outdoor seating, but then east of that, you have a tiny little restaurant that does not have curbside seating. And I'm concerned whether they be aware that this will eliminate the possibility for them, which doesn't seem equitable, particularly for a little restaurant. That's one of my concern. The other concern I would bring up is the afternoon layover, which is the more impact on the businesses, is really for a different community board. And I'm wondering if when you come back, if it may be the M15s, which serve, the people impacted, might be separated from the afternoon. And I guess my last is regarding the construction at Landmark. I thought they were tearing down all the scaffolding and we were getting rid of that construction, but I don't know for sure.
DOT, you want to chime in on that? I have no information on that scaffolding or that project.
I don't have an update on that.
Okay, so I know on Houston, there in all the recent blogs are saying that the scaffolding has come down. So maybe, after you meet with the businesses and before you come back, is maybe check that to see if it is available.
We'll have to coordinate that with DOT, Susan. We just have to make sure that the location is appropriate for service for the buses that operate, that would be laying over there. But we'll be in constant coordination with DOT throughout this, and if things become available, certainly will be open as long as it all works for everybody.
Okay, well, I came up with, a couple of different things. One is to particularly make the smaller business aware that they'd be giving up, make sure that they had no intention of having any outdoor seating, and whether it's possible to split up the morning and afternoon. And then, let me know to schedule if you want us to put it back on the agenda after you speak to the stakeholders.
Understood.
So while we're here, there are people from the public or other committee members who want to ask questions or make comments right now. So it is true that that local businesses aren't aware that it's on the agenda. So in the end, which may not be tonight, they're looking for a resolution from the community board as to whether we support or do not support this. It sounds like, committee, let's discuss for a moment here, but it sounds like we may be putting this back on the agenda after there's been notification, discussion, so that other businesses know to discuss with us.
And the construction on Eldridge.
And the construction, I'm sorry, how does that?
They said they were displaced because of that. And I think that, at least some of that might be coming available.
Right. So committee, thoughts on this right now? Or are it sounds like the agencies are good with coming back to us.
Yeah, we're fine with that.
Okay, so committee, is there any to discuss? Should we move to the next item?
A couple of people have their hand. Lee has his hand.
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing that.
Well, I see Lee's hand up.
Okay, well, Lee?
Thank you. Actually, after the layover periods, and actually between the two layover periods, on the south side of First Street, do you intend on putting that to not alternate side? I'm sorry, metered parking after 7 p.m. and during the two layover periods?
DOT?
That is not how we would like to include. I think we would actually have the layovers from 7 to 7 instead. Because if you do put in a meter parking from 10 to 10 to 3, that timing, we can't guarantee that, no cars will be still staying there. So that's why I think it will be, for us, I think we will have them from 7 to 7.
Okay, and after 7 until 7 a.m., it will be available for the community to park?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, David, there's a Brian.
Right, see now, I figured out how to get them in place. Like I said, I'll figure this out someday. I'm gonna cut down to Michelle since she's the committee and the other two public members soon.
Thanks, David. I was a little bit confused, Susan, just to clarify about the restaurant seating, because from the plan, it looks like they gave 81 feet of restaurant seating for
That's-
1-on-1 and
That's to the
cafe.
corner bar, yeah.
No,
there's
but I'm saying it doesn't preempt the other. Is this in the slideshow? Can you
bring that slide back up, Laura?
Yeah, it would, there would be,
be there? It comes across the whole commercial strip there.
so where it says, no, the no parking, let me see, it's very small, that's my problem.
I'm happy to clarify if that helps. The taxi stand regulations would begin where the existing no parking regulations begin, so not
So
directly
that-
in front of the restaurant.
So it's not, you're saying it's not in front of the little restaurant?
Yeah, could you go to the new, like what the proposed plan is? The next slide. Yeah, so see Susan, and they keep the 81 feet of restaurant seating in front of all of the commercial businesses there, so.
Well, the seating I was talking about though was not the existing seating. It was, because that's the big bar on the corner.
Right, no, I know, but it seems like the plan would preserve
Allow
the
additional
opportunity for the other businesses, like for Cafe Himalaya to expand, to have outdoor seating if it wanted to, but please correct me if
Well, I
I'm wrong
think,
about that, MTA.
well,
That's
there would be DOT. And I think that, should be checked, is it in any way going to impact them? They have to come back anyway because they haven't talked to any of the businesses.
Right, I just wanted to clarify that point if I was
Yes,
reading
yeah, I
the
think
plan
you're right.
correctly, that there's
Yes,
preserved
I-
space then.
It looks like there is, it could, so.
Great.
Yes, I think you're right.
This is sort of a schematic of a diagram. So when it comes back, if this could
They will check.
actually line up the buildings with the diagram, but look at the arrows don't meet. So it's a schematic. Thanks. Brian, go to the public now. Brian.
Thank you. Yeah, I just had a question. If we could get clarity on the business impact that's implied by this. I don't want to jump to conclusions. I'd love to clarify like what we think the business impact would be.
That wasn't part of why I said they had to contact the businesses. It's that you always have to contact the stakeholders who are there. I don't know, I don't run that business, but it's, you always want to give the impacted people a chance to ask questions and voice concerns.
Thank you for confirming. I guess with the clarification that just happened, it seems like there's no impact on the small restaurant. They could optionally submit a request for the outdoor seating later, like these plans don't impact them. And then where the layover zone is, there's no businesses on that side. So I'm still trying to understand who the businesses impacted are.
Well,
We didn't
both of those
say-
businesses and all of them between A and B, it's just a given that we want them notified in advance, and it was an oversight.
We didn't say
Okay,
that they would be necessarily impacted. They could be, but they're stakeholders and they get a voice.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for clarifying.
Ben?
Yes, thank you. So yeah, I live on this block and I'm just there was something that was mentioned about timing, that this wasn't happening tomorrow or next week, but it was something that we have to do, I think was what the wording was. And I would just like a little more clarity on timing, and also if this is coming back to the community, to the committee, is this sort of a presentation in order to tell us what's going to happen, or is there still any flexibility on the details of this and whether or not it would actually go forward?
Well, Jennifer, just tell me, so, I mean, assuming that we come back and the community board provides DOT with a resolution and support, how long, what would be the timing for implementation of such a change?
It depends on what the changes are, but based on if this is what we're going to move forward with, I think we would anticipate that it's just sign changes, so it wouldn't take that long.
What is that?
After.
That long? How, give me a ballpark.
It'll be under 3 months, that's for sure.
Okay. Okay. So assuming that everything goes perfectly swimmingly and everybody's happy, 3 to 4 months.
I would assume it'll be a lot less, only because it depends on their schedule and then how much work is needed. And, you know, sometimes they do slide in smaller projects when they're available.
So it's, my original statement was, this is not, imminent, like, next week we're going to be.
No, it's not gonna happen next week.
I'm not sure if that answered your question, sir.
I haven't seen it myself, but I heard that it's already happening.
No,
Completely
no.
wrong.
no. completely wrong.
It's not. Okay, thank you. Okay. Ben's hand is, okay, so is there anyone else who wants to speak about this item? AL, do you want to speak now? Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I live right opposite of that street, and I am a member of the Melser Tower at 94 East 1st Street. And the thing is that I'm wondering if they have a taxi parking there, how our senior, it's a senior building, how we going to be able to use our street in front of right there where the taxi is standing. Because nowadays, people start parking both sides of the street, and it is very, very difficult for us to call a taxi or something. If it is emergency, we cannot using even the ambulance or things to come and pick our senior people from our building. Why is it that have to come and park in front of our building right there? I'd like to have more clarify into this matter.
Okay, I think I know what you're saying. I do, but I will point out that the driveway would not be blocked, but you're actually talking about curbside access to the street for hailing cabs and so forth, correct?
Yes, but right now it's parking both sides. Okay, and if we have a limousine or car to come and pick us up for hospital or for emergency situation, both side of the car is parking right there, and even in front of our gate. What happening if it is a fire department want to come and rescue? If by God, by God, who know if the car will come and park in front of, if the fire department need to get in to helping us, let's say that.
Okay, well, I'm certain that the fire department will be able to get in through the driveway. DOT would never even propose something or allow something to be proposed that really prevented fire department access. Susan, do you have something?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask pretty much the same question. Can't they drive in and so that they're stopping in front of the lobby?
No, because it's always blocked by those cars that park on 1st Street.
In front of, you're saying they're parking in front of the driveway?
Even our driveway, they park in front of it, and both side of the street, which is a small street. 1st Street is a very small, and both side parking. The only thing is one car that can come through. However, let's say if hospital ambulance have to be there, or our transportation needs to pick us up in front of our building, how does it work if you're gonna have both sides occupied by taxi and by another car?
Susan, it sounds to me like if the driveway is not being respected, perhaps, discussion with the local precinct about more vigilance.
It sounds like two issues. One is enforcement, and we're never going to get enough enforcement there. But I'm also wondering, and this is to Jennifer, if maybe it could be inspected to have like a spot or two that would be, I don't know whether it would be no standing or what, but that could be, I'm sure there's ambulance and, accessorides often, whether it could be inspected to see whether we need a spot designated.
This gentleman has been here before with this exact same discussion. And I'm wondering if there's some sort of street marking perhaps that could make it very evident that there's a driveway there. Passive enforcement kind of thing. That would be another item, but I'm just trying to be helpful. Jennifer, is that something we could discuss?
We don't do any additional markings to mark out a driveway. And if anyone does end up doing that, it's not, it's sort of illegal to do that because that's considered to be a sidewalk or street defacement. The only thing I could possibly think of, maybe there could be some type of signage pretty much to clear the driveway. But then again, I don't know if that's something we would end up doing. I definitely would like to bring this back to my team and discuss this further.
If you could do that, if I could say, people have learned that they can park anywhere without any consequences. I am constantly, and I'm sure Jennifer's heard me do this, speaking about parking in bus stops. And, it's not a priority and there aren't enough police to be there all the time. So realistically, just saying we need better enforcement is not going to work.
Okay, Ben.
Yeah, thank you. I do have a follow-up question here. And I was wondering if there were any alternate proposals in this study that included maintaining any alternate side parking at all. This is one of the only block in the immediate neighborhood that only has 1 hour alternate side, and just losing these spaces. I understand we need the taxi relief and I understand we need the bus layover, but I was wondering if there was any type of a compromise possible where there would still be some alternate side parking on that block.
Jennifer?
Go ahead. So
Jennifer?
I don't think we looked into providing additional alternate side parking. Yeah, I don't have a response to that, actually. We didn't really look at that.
I mean, the current proposal would eliminate it. And that's part of the discussion. Hey, Brian, you want to go now?
Yes, thank you. Just a quick follow-up there. Thanks for the clarity. The reason I actually joined the meeting was to speak about enforcement. So since it came up, I just wanted to quickly plus one and show support. I think there's a complete ignoring any rules at the moment. I have a dog, as you might see from my picture here. So when I walk, I literally see violations, blocking driveways, bus stops, speeding every day. So I guess it's the forum to maybe, how do we get some support? I do understand police officers don't particularly prioritize traffic enforcement. And just what is the long-term solution here in terms of, I almost got hit crossing a crosswalk because there's an illegal car parked in the crosswalk, blacked out windows, couldn't see the visibility and almost got hit literally last week. That's not a rare occurrence. So I just wanted to plus one, kind of anything we can do to increase enforcement.
We try all the time. If there's an area that's particularly bad, if you could send me photos and I could try and have the police focus on it. It is a constant problem. And I think the only good thing I can say is that with all the accidents and injuries, I think the city's beginning to focus on it more. So if you would send those, enforcement is dealt with by the office. So if you could send me photos of bad areas, I would work with you.
Michelle?
Thank you.
This is the corner when a young man was killed by a driver last weekend. So my response to his question is do everything that we can to disincentivize cars. And so taking away parking spots helps with that. The number of people that a bus carries versus the number of people that a car carries is just, I mean, not even comparable. So I don't really think enforcement will do it. We need to put up structural barriers, and here's one way: get rid of parking. So David, I feel like we should probably wrap this up though, because we're not going to do a resolution tonight.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was going to have you say we need to focus back on this proposal. And so is there any other discussion that people really want to do? And if so, we need to keep it brief. Okay, we'll go to the next agenda item, which is exciting. It's a co-naming proposal. And is an applicant here who wants to talk about this? Let me say that before we start that, co-namings come to the community board first, and then if we decide to approve it, we pass a resolution explaining why, and it goes to the city council office, and that's something that the applicant needs to pursue. And the city council passes a couple times a year. They pass a law that approves of street co-namings. A co-naming is a co-naming. It's not renaming of the street. The street address remains identical, and we have a pretty high bar of signature requirements, which we can discuss in a bit. But I would like now to hear from someone who's presenting the application.
I'm sorry, could I just say that I just got the petitions and forwarded them to Michelle and Wendy if at some point you want to screen share.
Thank you. So who is presenting?
I'm here with Luisito, and he's on also. He's going to have some background noise because he's in the shop right now, and there's his wife, Maritza.
Hello.
So yeah, I think Luisito will present, and I will support him in the process. Do you want to unmute yourself?
Good afternoon, members of the Community Board number 3. My name is Luis Rivera. I'm the owner of Casaderas. I inherit Casadera through the passing of my mom. And I'm very humble and very honored that the Community Board would be hearing the proposal to have the name put on the corner of 5th Street. Adela was a neighborhood person that feeded the homeless. In addition to that, she was also a community place where you would come and sit in, and we just talk about issues that we deal with the Puerto Rican community in this neighborhood. And that's as far as the extent that she did. We, at this point in time, we very humble if you decide on support us on this event, and for that we'll be eternally grateful. As you can hear, on a little bit of background noise, so I'm going to go back to mute. If there's any questions that you guys got for me, please let me know. Just point at me. Okay.
Yeah, like Luisito said, Adela has been a staple in the community for 48 years. So when she makes 50 years, we hope to, have this marked somewhere in history, hopefully with the state assembly. But I think that Luisito's very modest. Adela has been serving the community for a very long time, long before she was in her restaurant. She used to be on the corner of 3rd Street and Avenue D, and she was feeding her family, and she fed a lot of people in the process who followed her everywhere that she went. And the amount of support that she has in the community is outstanding. There was no one who didn't want to sign this petition. Although we were very careful about collecting signatures on East 5th Street, there are only 116 units on the block that we collected signatures. So we did get the 75% there, but we did have additional from other people in the surrounding community so that we could meet that threshold.
Okay, I should have refreshed my memory. I don't recall the threshold. If that is a small enough block, we have a second threshold. And so you believe you have met that second threshold is what you're saying? And then probably you also gather signatures more broadly.
Correct.
Okay. Do you have can you give us, I believe that my committee colleagues are counting right now, but do you know what the counts were? Like on the block and in the.
Yeah. No, for the block, I believe it was around 98. And then there are 100 and something additional from surrounding area. So like 4th Street, Avenue C, 6th Street, all the businesses on Avenue C that are across and next door. And the garden on East 5th Street, all the garden members signed.
Okay. Committee, do you want to discuss this? Actually, you had a petition, and the language on that petition would be useful for us to see. Maybe someone who has the power to share screen could do that, or maybe we could assign it to.
I forwarded that to Wendy and Michelle, the application also.
Okay, so
I can put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat. Okay, I was thinking to have it on the screen might be useful. Well, at some point it would be if we get to that point of actually crafting a resolution. We probably would lift language from the petition. Committee members, discussion. Raise hands. Okay, public. Are there public members who want to speak about it? Again, please raise hands. I'm not seeing, oh, is this everybody? This is the whole meeting. Okay.
There's 19 people.
Right, so I can see everybody right in front of me is what I'm saying. So if you need to wave your hand at me because you can't find or just unmute. All right, well then I'm going to close public discussion. Come back to the committee again. Committee, we need to do something on this.
What, and something as in what? What are we asking for?
We need to pass a resolution. We need to pass a resolution either saying that we approve of it. And if we decide not to approve of it, well, then we would decide whether to pass a resolution to that effect or not. But if we want to approve it, we would definitely need a resolution moved.
I would like to see this passed. So how could we go about making a resolution?
I move to approve of this, and then we'll.
I move to approve of this.
Okay. I'll take it as seconded. Now, if we could get the resolution up, not the resolution.
The application.
The application up on the screen, then we can start picking out words. And the draft typically is we take the language from the application and then we'll add our own language supporting why.
Should Wendy maybe just share her screen with the draft of the resolution, because we could, the application is a PDF, so we're not gonna be able to copy and paste or anything from that. I just put everything that's in that was in the resolution, sorry, was in the petition in the chat, so Wendy could copy and paste that into a Word doc or something.
Should I just go ahead and copy it first, or?
Wendy, you should be able to share your screen now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, so this is the language that was used on the petition. Did the petition actually say co-naming? Must have. Is this the whole language? I read it earlier today, but I'm blanking on what else was in it.
Hold on, there's one more section.
Okay.
I hate this that it's a PDF. I can't copy. Adela, do you have the language from the top of the petition?
On a Google Doc, is that helpful?
Yes.
What email should I share you?
I'll send it to you.
Awesome.
This resembles the resolution we did for the street renaming of Avenues of Justice.
it would be very similar. That is the kind of resolution we need to pass tonight.
Okay.
Was that Kenyelle speaking?
It is.
Okay, so the co-naming would be for Adela Fargas. No, we would not be mentioning in the co-naming, we would not be mentioning the business. That's clear to people? Because we co-name after humans. So we should start by saying, whereas there's been a proposal to,
I just shared you on it. Just let me know if you.
Thank you.
Community Board 3 was approached with a request. How about we say it that way? Unless we have the language from, and do you have the avenue of the immigrant?
I don't, but I remember the process for it was something similar. So I was wondering if we could use.
I don't think we have. If we brought it up, maybe we do. Yeah, that would help.
Oh, let me see.
When was it?
It was a few months back.
Mm.
I don't see it in mine.
Look online.
Avenue of the America. What was it? Avenue for Justice, Americans for Justice.
Which month did we do it in? I could probably find it from that. Was that April or March?
September.
Oh, it was September.
Yeah, it was a little ways back.
Right. Avenue Justice does not come up with anything on our lovely web search.
I found one.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
And then that, here we are. Okay. All right, we didn't actually start by saying that we were well, the title would be support for street co-naming. Just now in the Word document? Or,
yes.
Yeah, okay, great. So co-naming, what would the name be? Would it be Adela or Adelis? I don't have the name in front of me.
Adela Fargas way?
Yeah, way. I think it's Adela. Adela.
Wendy, I DM'd you.
No, I eat at the restaurant. How can I not spell it? Adela Fargas Way. On Avenue, it's on East 4th, between A and B.
On East 4th, you said, right?
Yeah.
Between Avenue A and Avenue B?
Yeah. Is that correct, or B and C?
No, it's on
Lower East Side. It's on
Fifth,
Lower
right?
East Side Avenue between East 4th, East 5th Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the co-naming is actually on top of East 5th Street. It's the northeast corner.
Okay, that would be it. So the corner of
East 5th Street.
Yeah, the northeast corner has a East 5th Street sign already. So I think that's the one it has to be to go on top of. Because Loyside is already co-named.
excellent. Of Avenue C.
Oh, right. Thank you.
All right. And now if we go back to the language in the petition. Fever here. I am. That ain't good.
Just like copy and paste it, like each paragraph gets a what if, like what, whereas.
Right, so let's do that, but I'm going to want to plump up the community service aspect if we could, when we get to the paragraph about that.
The road, it's southeast corner out here.
Yeah. Well, I think there's no Fifth Street sign on the southeast corner. That's what I was thinking originally, but there has to be an actual street sign there to put it on top of. I didn't realize that when we were drafting it. So I think I put on the actual. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not running this very efficiently. So where are we with this? I'm rapidly coming down with a fever. I don't understand it. This is not good.
We're at the beginning of the first paragraph, whereas. I'm just changing the wording around based on the document we're using from the last one.
Should I make it bigger? Can you guys see it?
David, are you all right? You want me to take over?
Yeah, if you could. I am not all right. I don't understand it. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. So Wendy, do you want to just basically copy and paste what was in the Avenues for Justice resolution into this document so that we can.
Yeah, we'll just change the wording around.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. May I ask a question while the copy and pasting is happening that has nothing to do with this?
No, sorry. Can you hold on? Okay, so let's just all right, let's do let's just basically take the resolution the petition text and slot it into the whereases. And I think in order, probably I think it's very similar. Right, so we can just actually add here, let's just put it a whereas in front of that paragraph, Wendy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah. Whereas, comma. And then at the end, just the semicolon and. I mean, right, Danielle, does that sound right? Just add
Yeah,
whereas
it
to the
sounds
top
just
of
like
these.
that. Yeah, absolutely. We're just gonna change the word, just like that.
Should we just keep going down?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. Paul, go ahead.
I think you just need you have it already. Whereas, and just put the resolve clause in. Right at
Yeah, like therefore, be it resolved that Community Board 3 supports a.
Yes, absolutely. You're doing good.
Resolution writing on the fly. Okay, and then so here, yeah, therefore be it resolved instead of. Oh no, Wendy, that will be therefore be it resolved.
Oh,
okay. Nothing like live editing.
On the spot, guys.
Yeah. Oh, of course, the live transcription is now blocking this paragraph. Can you just scroll it up, please, Wendy? Sorry. Okay, so therefore be it resolved. Instead of we, the neighbors of Casa Adela, say Community Board 3.
Yeah.
Three supports. And I think just for style, instead of E, put East 5th.
That naming at the, is that the correct Fargas? Am I not seeing that right?
Oh yeah, it should be instead of, yeah, there we go. I don't know how that happened. There we go. It's always from Ave C in honor of an outstanding New Yorker, former recent godmother who lives on East from New York.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Alda.
Sorry, it's F-A-R-I-A-S.
A-R-I.
No G.
Ah, okay.
F-A-R-I-A-S. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
For all of, okay.
Thank you.
Is that, and okay, so I think that for whatever reason, it's misspelled throughout.
Yeah, everywhere else that has to be corrected.
Yeah, I don't know. That wasn't.
I think
Even
it's a
autocorrect or-
grave.
I actually think it might be Fargas with a G.
Fargas.
Yeah. Thank you, Louis.
Yeah, I thought so too. In the restaurant, you had told me that. That's why.
Sorry, Wendy.
Thank
No,
you.
it's all good.
Let me go back to mute.
Is it G-E-S, Fargas?
Fargas.
And so then in the therefore be it resolved paragraph also Adela Fargas,
You
G-A-S.
had it right the first time.
Okay, there we go.
Hello, is it G-A-S or G-E-S? It is A.
G-A-S, David.
Okay, okay.
Um,
There's one paragraph we should add, which is explaining the level of support. So summarizing.
Okay, so Wendy, you want to copy and paste the paragraph within the below motion that has that? There is the third from the bottom.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, and we can just slot in the numbers.
Just edit it here. Especially for code naming East.
Aura, can you remind us of the number of signatures?
It was 98 from East 5th Street.
Okay.
And then it was 181 in total. Let me just confirm that right now, because we of course, unfortunately did not have time to count it because we got it right before the meeting, so we'll trust you.
So if those numbers were correct, you could say 98 from the block of East 5th Street and 83 from surrounding blocks.
Well, they're not even from surrounding blocks. Some of them are from elsewhere.
Okay.
And was it 80? 83?
Yeah. 181 in total.
So hold on, let me do the math. Sorry, not a math person. Minus 98. So, oh, David was right. Wow, David is a math person. And then
as long as I haven't had any alcohol, I can do arithmetic.
And then David, though, how should we do that though? Because it's not just from the surrounding blocks and 83 other signatures.
Well, we can say mostly from the surrounding blocks, but we should also say that it demonstrates substantial neighborhood awareness and support. Yeah, this is critical to have in here, y'all, because we want these to be special, right? We don't want to pass co-namings that don't have a broad base of support. That is why the signature requirement is so high.
Right.
Yes.
Is it a whereas or would it be a therefore be resolved? Okay.
From the block and from the surrounding area.
Mainly from the surrounding area? 83 signatures mainly from the surrounding area?
Okay. You're saying it's got some from the diaspora further out? Okay, Paul.
Yes.
Paul.
Why don't you just say greater Lower East Side area?
There's some that are not even from Lower East Side, so I'm the one who looked at the signatures. So trust me.
Okay. I'll back away.
Well, 83 other signatures, mostly from the surrounding area.
Yes, that's what I would suggest.
That is really true. Just let's put it that way.
Yeah, they're still within the Lower East Side.
In addition, put the word additional in front of signatures. 83 and additional. Okay.
Oh, it's 93 signatures from East 5th Street. Sorry, I think
93. Okay.
Oh wait,
88 there.
98. Sorry, not 83. I don't know if Oh, 83 is from the surrounding. Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, my bad.
Okay. Now, I see. Could we? Maybe we don't need to do this, but there's a couple places. It's not all tight in one whereas clause where we describe public service aspects of her life. You know, we talk about providing food for the community and for the Lower East Side Festival, and then there was another one up earlier. There's actually, I think every single paragraph says something. Would it make sense, or is it just unnecessary? My judgment is really kind of off.
I think that David, just for, I mean, it'll take us a lot of time to try and condense this probably. If you think it's no harm in including the long-winded version, then maybe we can just stick with it as long as we have the important information. What do you think?
I think I'd be happy with that. Committee?
Sounds good.
Okay. So is there any other additions, changes that people want to make?
Looks good to me.
Is there any further discussion the committee wants to make before we go to a vote? All right, I think we should take the vote, Wendy, please. And I will vote last, please.
Michelle Cooper-Smith,
Yes.
Wendy Lee, yes. Lee Berman,
Yes.
Tariq Terrell, and Kenyal Hernandez,
Yes.
David Crane.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yay!
Yay!
All right. I know you all are on the ball here, but make sure that you work this rest of the way through the community, through the council member's office.
Yeah.
Other applicants who haven't been so with it, I don't think I spoke strongly enough about this need. Their applications kind of languished for a while, okay?
All right, see you guys all at the ribbon cutting.
Lovely. And I believe that is the end of our agenda items. Unfortunately, my browser I've lost. Is there any other agenda item? No?
No.
Okay.
Can I just ask a quick question? I'm really sorry.
Oh, you did.
I wanted to first thank you for whatever magic the committee has done to make the Amazon disappear from that lot on the Bowery. Whatever it is that you did, that was magical, and I'm very grateful for it. And because the meeting, I thought, had this piece in the agenda, and I hadn't received the new agenda. I suppose you haven't talked about that today, right? Because I
Sorry.
arrived a little late.
I'm sorry, I talked about, Amazon?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, let me deflect that thanks to the magic, who is actually Susan. So Susan Sensor, the district manager, was able to figure out how to contact Amazon. There had been an attempt, I apologize that this actually took longer than, probably you would agree, it took longer than necessary.
Well, it happened. That's all that matters.
Yeah. So the agencies, it was. I shouldn't talk too much. I should just say that Susan contacted Amazon and got taken care of, and we did instead took the opportunity to hear from them about how they are operating these programs, and they do not intend to do what they did at your location, which is to operate at 4 a.m. underneath residents' windows. And if that were to happen again, if you contact the board office, we now know how to deal with that situation. So is that a good summary?
That is a perfect summary. And I thank you. I'm going to send an email to Susan to thank her.
Thank you. All right. If there's no other, I think our vote was close enough that we could call that the attendance vote. Well, there was one vote that I expected. Can we just call attendance to close the meeting? So this will be our vote to adjourn the meeting.
David Crane,
Yeah, here.
Michelle Cooper-Smith,
Present.
Wendy Lee, present. Lee Berman,
Present.
Tariq Terrell, and Kenyal Hernandez.
Here.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
y'all.
you.
See you at the next meetings.
Feel better, David?
Yeah,
Good, David.
COVID test right now.